Yeah, you're definitely going to have to tell me your full suite of how you're doing this,
Yeah,
for live and shoot it right out to Twitter.
100%. Okay, we're live again. Um, I don't. I got a bunch of other stuff to hit on, but did you have anything to close out the accountability topic before we moved
Yeah,
on?
nothing to specifically kind of throw off the cuff from what I'm thinking about in my head, but yeah, it just seems like um, there has to be a way to make accountability sexy or make it cool on some type of level like that. And I'm not the person to ask specifically because I'm the one trying to do that. So yeah, I don't know. Whoever has an idea to make accountability sexy, let me know.
Well, like all this stuff, man, I'm sure we'll break into the psychedelic discussion during this chat, but it's been something that's been super important to me for a long time, and it's been instrumental in much of my development. And at a certain point, the friend that I have often done it with, we would ask ourselves, like, well, just kind of like Bitcoin, how do we like make people more aware that this is what it is, that this exists, and it's not what they think it is, and it's something like unimaginable.
Yeah.
And it's all the hyperbolic language that surrounds it. And you come to the realization that, first of all, the fire hose approach doesn't work, right? Because if people aren't there, they're not there. And as articulate as I can sometimes be in like social gatherings talking about psychedelics or Bitcoin or anything that I'm really passionate about, it doesn't really matter. Like they're not ready for it, And
Yep.
what it comes down to is the greatest sales pitch that you can make is the person you become. And so, I always thought, if people, and like it's not like I try to get people to envy me, but I realize like I have a reverence for this thing, for this psychedelic experience, and I have a respect for it. And I always thought like the greatest thing I can do for it is show what it's done for me through who I am and through my behavior. And if people observe that and then they find out that it's been instrumental in my development, that will be the most compelling, point of interest for them. Not that I convince them, to do it. And I don't want that responsibility anyways. It's a very serious undertaking. So I don't
Yes.
want to be the one be like, here, go try it, smash. Like, I want to be, and in some ways, and it's hard for this not to sound arrogant, but I want to be an exemplar for what that experience provides. And if I can do that, I know that other people will be at least curious about it as a result of that.
Yeah, it is the more I think about it, and it just popped in my mind when you were speaking on this, was the term psychonaut should be taken more seriously in the same manner as you do not put a regular citizen from whatever country, some Joe Schmo off the street, in a SpaceX suit and launch them off. Right? There is so much prep. There is so much. There's just so much preparation, research, training involved prior to that. For specifically, a psychonaut. I'm sure you can talk on this more. Mine is, only very, very small, but it's obviously more. It's pretty much all, a mental journey versus an astronaut. You're actually feeling those physical G forces, but there are G forces mentally, as well that you have to deal with. There's time dilation and as well and all that stuff, and trying to find your ego in all of that, with all that being distorted, is extremely difficult and challenging. So I think, and I love the term psychonaut, but it just clicked with me when you were speaking that we need to take it as seriously as somebody going, into outer space as an astronaut. So no different than my only analogy I can give is you're flying a commercial, you're flying, coach on a commercial airline. Yeah, you're just smoking some swag or whatever. Fine, somebody just gave you a half a joint, whatever, knock yourself out. The term psychonaut, You are in a full, notice how I'm not saying NASA suit, because SpaceX is obviously leading the way,
Right.
for American citizens launching off of American soil. A psychonaut is somebody who actually does their research and takes a very long time and does their own due diligence to see what this is. Did I get it from a reliable source? What are the effects? What do I have to deal with when it's in there? What do I need to mentally prepare for? And people are probably listening to you and I going, these guys are fucking idiots. Why are they even talking like this? But the effects that you have on the other end are profound, both in a negative and a positive standpoint, mostly positive, which is so beautiful about it. And that's why people like you and I are willing to talk about that and to share our experiences. So it just clicked with me. We need to take the term psychonaut extremely seriously, identical to how we take our astronauts seriously when they fly into space.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's, it's one of those things that it's such a common part of society, most people don't have the context or perspective, or they don't have the knowledge to place it in the proper context. And so it gets misused. Yeah. And so the experience is watered down, and it's not able to be appreciated for what it actually is. And, I agree. And look, I don't think it's meant to be universally comfortable or positive. I think the ultimate outcome can be, but part of this is about stripping yourself down naked and confronting all the different things that you don't ever want to confront about yourself, for lack of a more all-encompassing term, your inner demons and all the different manifestations of that. And that shouldn't be comfortable. That should be a dogfight. And, it has been for me on many occasions. And as you go along, that the length of time that you have to contend with, what's hanging out in the nooks and crannies of your mind, body, or soul diminishes, because you've done a lot more work. Every time you go in, you've got all the work you've done behind you. But it's a constant effort to be aware of the different ways in which your subconscious mind and your ego and your conditioning and your past trauma and all of these things are affecting the person that you are here and now today. And we easily and willfully ignore a lot of those things to get by in what is often a difficult life. You've got to conform, you've got to go to work, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. And so you'd rather just keep that shit swept under the rug. But these experiences say, no, we're gonna come right to the surface tonight, and you're gonna deal with us, okay? And we're not going to see
us face to face. You're gonna deal with
exactly, and we're not going anywhere until you figure out how to deal with us. And if you reject that, that's when you have a bad experience. But if you say, let's go, motherfuckers, let's throw down tonight and see what's what, see who's who, then there can be a great benefit to be derived from that. So I'll a number of years ago, I decided I was going to be open about speaking about my experiences and how important I thought they were to me, and that's not going to change.
And honestly, that's another reason why I DM'd you, what I did, and just for how open you are on it. I said, I might as well share my experiences, because everybody's perspective is different, but it's your willingness to be open about that and hopefully find any inspiration on the other side for somebody to go and do their own due diligence and to think very deeply on that, to say, do I really want to do this? Is this the wise thing for me? Maybe I should wait a little bit. Maybe I should. And if you're really that concerned, maybe you should actually just deal with those problems while you're there and deal with them. And if you're too afraid to, well, obviously there's a problem there. Right. Another thing that just popped in my mind when you were saying that is, any type of trip that you take, as a psychonaut, if you will, for me, it seems as if the sole goal is to completely dissolve yourself, which what you find out is you are perpetually connected to the environment to which you surround. So basically you dissolve your entirety of yourself, your ego, and obviously the environment around you, to solely seek the truth. And what is your truth? What is that truth? That, that's for you to find out, and, and to take that journey and to deal with it. But it seems like that's what every single either trip I've taken, it seems as if, just kind of reading between the lines here from past podcasts of yours talking, and then obviously right now, it seems like you're trying to find the truth about the situation that you need to deal with right now. And, you want to do it in a respectable manner, because this is some pretty deep stuff that gets shown. So, for me, it's just, dissolving the entirety of yourself, and to seek the truth.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's definitely a massive part of it. When you realize how artificial much of the different components of the person who you consider as yourself are, your name, your nationality, your sports team, your favorite ice cream, all this kind of stuff, when that gets stripped away from you, and every little piece gets stripped away, it begs the question, well, what's left, as you say? And I don't know the answer to that, but I know it seems to be something that is undifferentiated between all people and things. And, getting to that place, as you just said, can be very uncomfortable, because there are certain things that you just hang on to tooth and nail. You don't want to let go of certain things that tether you to, some semblance of individuality, and letting go of those last little bits are really hard. And that's why this is a practice. It's not like a one and done sort of thing. But I think if you can do that, you gain access to a perspective that transcends, your individual local point of consciousness, and you are able to unite with, and I know this is all super hoity-toity talk. I mean, I know between you and I, like
we get it, but the listeners,
but you connect with something that is timeless, and that is connected to all other things. And once you remove the filter of who you think you are from your consciousness, then a great many insights are made available to you, and it's there that you can do work. You can ask yourself questions. You can see things from different perspectives. You can be more present, and understand just how valuable doing so is, beyond whatever book, beyond whatever, meditation app or anything. Like, really understand what it is to be fully present. And and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm in that state now, because we come back down, and we come back to our individual locus of and perspective.
Your ego blows up, and you go, okay,
you
now
put it back together.
Yep, exactly.
You put it back together, and then you come back, and hopefully you're able to take some of the knowledge, wisdom, insights, whatever you want to call it, back with you to integrate into your life, to help construct it on terms that you're more satisfied with.
Yeah. Do you meditate at all, or have in the past, or on regular occurrence, or what? Have you meditated?
I did, like, a little bit off and on, but to be honest, I've never had a solid practice with it. And I don't feel bad about that either. I mean, it's never been something that really appealed to me that much. I find like I have other ways of bringing myself to be, extremely present, and kind of, it just hasn't been something that's resonated with me that much. How about you?
I've been meditating regularly for probably 5-6 years now. I don't think I've ever missed a day, minus maybe 1 or 2 in the beginning.
Wow.
But what I have found now, don't be that impressed, because some days it's only a minute, because I got up late for work or something like that, and I'm like, all right, gotta go meditate. But so you really don't get the full experience. But I found meditation, deep meditation. Again, I'm not experienced at all. If anybody can reach out to me to connect to more higher spiritual, meditative guru, if you will, in the Bitcoin space, please, by all means. But I have found that is about the closest thing that you could get to some type of a psychonaut trip. Because what's very difficult, no different than trying to describe what your last trip was like. for whatever, method you chose. It's very, it's very cosmic and high level. Nobody's going to understand it, the tingling on your arms or anything like that, or, you see things, whatever page starts to move or something like that. People don't get how the words jump off the page and stuff like that. But it's so similar for meditation for me. It allows me to focus on obviously myself in the present moment, because as my eyes are closed, I'm looking at myself, if you will. And as you think of certain thoughts, flashes of light kind of start to appear. And if you choose to chase those flashing lights, they get brighter and brighter and brighter until you come up with an idea, or you come up with something. And sometimes it's nothing, sometimes just a joke and you just laugh, or sometimes it's very painful things, that you really don't want to confront. But I found for me, meditation is about the closest thing that I can get to. I think it's actually more powerful in some ways, more of the closest state I can get to from a psychonaut-like experience. And the days that I remember that I have not meditated or even meditated less, I can tell my whole day is like out of whack, because I'm not focused, or it's a classic thing. You got out of bed on the wrong side or something like that.
Yeah, man.
So I was curious if you've ever regularly meditated, or so. What are your other methods then?
Well, I was just going to say,
yeah.
I haven't never gotten into a meditation routine, but I've for a long time been very careful about managing my state. That's been a very like non-negotiable aspect of my life.
Yeah.
So, for me, managing my state is the combination of, sleep, morning workout, cold plunge, cold dip, cold shower, something like that.
Definitely.
And when I say workout, like, really a good and hard workout, so you feel like you've been through something afterwards. Bit of caffeine helps me out. Being in the company of good people who, you can trust, who have your best interests at heart, who you want to help.
And that's the most important right there.
Yeah, it's huge. Meaningful work. It's all these different variables, a stack that you put on. And if I can get 90-80% of the way on that stack, then I'm going to be set up to have be happy, have a good day, and be able to engage, in the things, engage in what I'm doing, like in the level of presence and, ability that I want to, right? That's what sets me up. And like I said, I've tried mixing in meditation in that stack before, and it just, didn't really stick, because I guess I felt that it didn't deliver the returns that I was looking for my state. So I kind of dropped it.
Yeah. I love asking other people what their rhythm is, or what their, actions to kind of reinforce their present moment in this life. What do you do? So that's awesome that you have a pretty strict routine that allows you, for that present moment. I always try to find food. That. Oh yeah.
I left that out, but I've always been a healthy.
You got to treat yourself, right?
Oh, I treat myself often, but like I keep it tight, like 90% of the time. And the rest of the time is Dairy Queen blizzards and chocolate chip cookies. And
exactly. You got to break a little bit. I appreciate the carnivore diet, especially all the Bitcoiners, that do that. I tried it. I was actually a vegetarian for like 2 years or so. I noticed I was not feeling very well, or I was not acting in a very healthy manner.
Yeah.
So I kind of branched out some more and dove into carnivore diet. I would definitely be down to do it for longer than I did, for like 40 days, 45 days or so. But man, that is it's tough to turn down that Dairy Queen blizzard. I'll tell you that. It's tough. I got to have a little break every now and again, guys. I love the keto state. The focus that you have in the keto state is unmatched to anything else.
Yeah.
But man, those blizzards.
I know. Look, man, like I feel so damn good when the diet has been dialed in for like, if 1 week, then 1 month, then 2 months, then 3 months. Like I feel like $1 million.
Oh yeah.
but I'm never giving up pizza, and I'm never giving up score blizzards, right? So it's gonna have I'm just gonna have to find a balance, and that's what I try to do.
That's where I'm at. They could toast a steak for about 95% of my time, 98%, and
Right.
then when I need to, break it. A little ice cream, a little pizza. Yeah.
100%. Do you mind if we circle back to, and it's obviously fine if you do, but you mentioned when we first were speaking on DMs that you had kind of gone through a difficult time. We touched on the the legal issues before. I'm just wondering how you came out of that challenging period, and what role Bitcoin and possibly psychedelics or any, and I think you mentioned there was alcohol played a role there too. Do you mind if we dig into
that? Yeah. Again, the simplest way I could put it, I am so blessed. I am not here, man. I am not here. I'm somewhere else in a good way. I should be dead or in jail for everything I've done. Depressive states that I've been in, drank myself way too much. I've watched a family member die of alcoholism at like a young age. I think he was 35, 38 years old. I can't remember how old now. But it was all kind of intertwined around the time I found Bitcoin and through the Silk Road, and the idiot that I was said, ignore the Bitcoin and go, let's just go and print some money, print some dollars instead. For me, I would say it's a blend, obviously, between your environment and your genetics. Obviously, that definitely plays a role. There's obviously mental health issues in my family. I'm sure with everybody else's, if we do the research. There was alcoholism on certain parts of my family as well, of which I knew that I grasped and kind of received as well. But specifically at that moment in time for me, I was just graduating high school. And I did not want to go to college. So my high school was really unique. I went to actually two high schools, and I was pretty much the only one I was the first one to do this, and only because I simply requested it. I went to my regular everyday public high school, but the second half I went to our local trade school for welding. So I got 2 years worth of welding and did wonderful over there. It was great, but it was a nice blend that I didn't have to hang out with all the kind of kids that got pushed over to the trade school to say, you're too stupid for regular public school, go and learn a trade. Which is sad to put them in that state, but I was very glad to go and do that, and then while at the same time be just in the regular traditional high school sense. But again, you don't really realize what happiness is until you face your deepest lows, or you reach your highest highs. So I did not want to go to college, but just from social peer pressure, I chose to go to college. And again, through some roundabout ways, I did not have to, because again, all my choice. I did not have to stay in the dorm. I got an apartment for my freshman year. I had my apartment all by myself. Okay, I mean, yeah, it sounds cool, but for somebody that's already in a kind of a sad, depressive state, I can get anything I want pretty much. If you really want alcohol, you can find somebody to buy it for you, right? That's not that difficult. So that was a very toxic environment that I built for myself. All of your traditional friends that of at that time kind of go away, do your own thing. You're doing your thing, but yet you've basically locked yourself in an apartment, and you got, and all of my anybody that I went to school with knows I did not buy Natty Light. We drank Grey Goose, we drank Macallan and stuff like that at our house parties. So it really wasn't that fun in college for me. Plus, again, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to learn anything. So it really just kind of compounded onto itself, from drinking so much to driving drunk and going through the drive-through and eating fast food, which blew me up like a balloon. So instead of the freshman 15, I think I gained, what I'll say, I think I gained like the freshman 50. Okay, 50. All right. So obviously that really distorts your mind, because you are what you eat, you are what you consume. So if you're not going to class and you're drinking all the time, you're going to do some fucked up stuff. But I was too lazy to go out and get a welding job, because I was too self-conscious of somebody thinking, oh, look at that fat fuck, with bringing, the, bottle of whiskey with them, to work or something like that. So I didn't want to do that. And, kind of put me in that, I put myself in that box. And so obviously go through the whole Silk Road thing, kind of too embarrassed or too self-conscious to order a pound of weed through Silk Road, right? Because eventually it's got to come to your doorstep. What happens, if somebody's knocking on your door like that, okay? Or LSD or whatever you're trying to get. So, make that action, and a couple months later you get the knock on the door. That just puts you in a more deeper depressed state. I was very fortunate to have a very strong family. My family is amazing, and also a very small niche group of core friends during that time to kind of power me through it. Obviously there's a woman involved and stuff like that, and it's nice when you have a girlfriend, and you can kind of bounce back and forth with each other on that, and constantly improve oneself and call each other out like that. But I would say it probably didn't really click for me that I had a serious drinking problem. I passed so many. I cannot wait to. Well, no, I'm not even going to send that to my PO. But I passed so many drug tests and alcohol tests for my POs. Like that. But it sounds so arrogant and cocky for me to say that. But at the same time, I think to myself, wow, what a deep, dark, depressive state you were in to be able to willingly drink before you go and see your federal parole officer, and you passed the test, so you can go back in the car and get another drink. That's wild. How dedicated are you to get around that system, and to pass it? So I don't think I really realized I had such a serious problem until after kind of the Fed stuff went away. After a couple years, I did some things to piss them off, but which kind of extended it out, but it wasn't too big of a deal. But we all have those shedding moments where you graduate high school, you got to graduate college, you got to move, you change this job, you got to move on. For me, it was I'm getting out of the federal system. Girlfriend and I at the time were kind of going our separate ways, so you shedded that. And I think at that point, Bitcoin was still in the back of my mind, rolling around for 2014, 2015. I'm kind of waiting for a good entry point where I don't have to sit for quite a while, which was very stupid in hindsight, because I could have learned a tremendous amount through that entire time, being active with people. But it was probably about 2015 or so where that shift kind of clicked and said, I don't know, maybe it was reading Be Here Now by Ram Dass, possibly, and a couple other books like that. I think The Beginner's Mind was another one. But I always knew there was more to life and there's more to do. I feel I said I should be dead or in jail. So I feel very special and gifted to still be here and talking and sharing all this stuff. And I think that's when I kind of picked up. Yeah, it's probably about summer, fall, spring, sometime 2015. Probably fall of 2014, really started to grow and kind of push myself out of that. Yeah, I've had relapses, and you push yourself through, but it was kind of a whole will thing for me to, hey man, you got to dig yourself out of there, because nobody's going to help you out. I mean, I lied to the feds for saying, um, no, I don't have any mental health issues. Well, do you have any drug or alcohol problems? No. I could have received all that help during that time, but I was too prideful to say anything like that. So simply willing myself out of that, probably 5-6 years ago, which really started to figure out, again, more that meditative state to say, where is your focus at? What are you doing? What can you build? What can you provide? Okay. What's the highest risk, highest reward return? Obviously, Bitcoin is there. And thus, as you keep going through, I'm glad I never did any psychedelics while I was in high school. And I never did anything. I've never done any hard drugs. All I've done is alcohol, smoke some weed, and obviously psychedelics later down the road. But I never did anything. I never popped pills in that way. Never did anything like that. And I knew that I was going to do LSD or some type of mushrooms or something like that when I was ready, because I knew I had some deep, dark stuff to deal with, and I didn't want to deal with it at that time. So probably a couple of years ago, I knew that it was about time to start doing that and thinking about that. Acquired some, thank you, Bitcoin, for that payment processing. And and I'm sure you can attest to this too, but it is probably one of the top 3 most important experiences of your life, when you actually make that trip, and you're ready and willing to deal with whatever is going to come at you. You make you make a positive vibes in your setting, and you go down the whole list. And it really opened up my eyes, and it really allowed me to focus really deeply on owning your past and how I can utilize that for the community around and the positive growth. And I kid you not, it was after one LSD trip, and I said, I have no interest to ever drink alcohol again. It was like now I've been sober for several years at that point, on and off, but attempting to be sober for consistent. But it was amazing at the mental switch to just flip to say, no, that's a depressive. You need more, not so much a stimulant, but you need more of an eye opener. What
Right.
awakens you?
Clarity.
What gives you more clarity and awareness? Yeah. Yep. It was just a wild, beautiful experience. For a couple of the first times, you choose to read or something like that, and all of a sudden you wait an hour and the words are popping off the page and you don't know what the hell's going on. And then I would go and sit down and I would try to meditate for an hour or 2 hours, and you look down at your watch or something like that, and it's, you've been meditating for 3 hours or something like that, and you go, holy shit, I should probably go do something else, and try to realize, but you're getting bombarded with kind of connections to other realms, right? You can see the other realms and you can deal with them, not necessarily communicate like we are right now in clear, plain text dialogue, if you will. Mm-hmm. But you definitely are very aware that this is not the only plane, and there are many others out there, and they are all interacting, even with yours. So that was really kind of my long growth of, it's been, Jesus Christ, it's been almost a decade or more, for that whole journey. It's just wild. It really is wild. I encourage anybody else that's listening that has, stuff like this, or, stories that they want to talk about in the past, man, share it, because it really helps you open up your own eyes about going through your own past, and thus hopefully it inspires, others to take that. Yeah.
Exactly, because I think so many people, as you were saying, at a certain point, like there's a certain level of shame or shyness or apprehension about being open about what's going on, like in your life, right? And I think when you articulate it, as you say, it's therapeutic, it helps you, but it also, you're kind of a beacon for others. You say, oh shit, like you too, and like what worked for you, and that kind of stuff. And Back to the kind of inflection point, and I've said this before, but I think so. Psychedelics is one, and regarding all the different planes of reality, I know entirely what you mean, but I'm so careful with my language around this stuff because I know it's so far out for a lot of people. So
Yes.
generally, what I just say is there are other these other states of consciousness. There's more than just channel normal, and I know that does it a great disservice to you know uh, dilute it down to a statement like that. But once you start, and I spent a lot of time, or a decent amount of time, I think 5-6 months in total, in the Amazon, learning about ayahuasca and stuff, and in that environment, there's a lot of talk of the spirit realm and the soul and all this kind of stuff. And it very well, maybe that's the right language to address this stuff with, but also maybe not. Maybe that's just our attempt to put some framing around something that we just can't put in a box. This is
Absolutely.
just something. It's a conscious experience that humans are able to have under certain circumstances, and I find it incredibly valuable, and it's incredibly awe-inspiring, and incredibly, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's I'm interacting on another plane. I don't know if I'm in the soul dimension. I don't know if I'm this and that. So I often, that's kind of how I often approach it. But the thing the overlap I see a lot with psychedelics and Bitcoin, obviously two very different experiences, but I find that in a lot of the conversations I have, and to a certain degree in my own life as well, I think it's very easy in this day and age to not only kind of be a victim of your circumstance, as we were discussing before, where you were born, what type of family, your
Yes.
socioeconomic strata, all that kind of stuff. But just, so the greater context in which your life is taking place, and perhaps very well in later stages of kind of fiat decline, being very apathetic and hopeless about what the future holds. Especially if you're at all desiring to be informed about what's going on, you may do so and look out and say, like, what's the fucking point? Like, this is all just a shit show. There's no way this is getting turned around. And there's so much pain and suffering and inequality and unfairness everywhere. Like, fuck it. Why shouldn't I just drink all day and,
Yeah.
pursue immediate pleasure wherever I can find it until the wheels fall off? Like, why the fuck not? And, I feel like psychedelics on kind of like an internal conscious level, and Bitcoin on an exterior mechanism level, once you start to understand what they represent and what they are, you start to see like, oh shit, no, there's more. There's more to this thing.
Yes.
And things can change. I can change, and it out there can change. And especially when you have the synthesis of the two, you're like, fuck yeah, like giddy up. Let's do this shit,
Let's
because
go. Yes.
yeah, the problems are immense, of course, still, but like now there's actually, a ray of hope where I think so many today, without those two things or other things that may help nudge in a similar direction, it's just incredibly, I guess the hopelessness precedes the apathy, but once you kind of internalize the hopelessness, then you're just like, whatever, like who cares about anything? And that is not a good frame of mind for a healthy, happy life as an individual, nor a healthy society as a collective of individuals.
I think again, it just clicked for something that you said. I think it's the long-term time horizon that Bitcoiners have. And the longer that you're in, the longer that low time preference just continually extends out. So you can see past all the highs and lows of any other cycle that you see. I mean, we're probably going to have another downturn in the next decade or so. It's probably going to be twice as worse, 10 times as worse. But you can see past that as a Bitcoiner. You can see past that after you've taken certain trips with certain, people, allowing you, a very safe and structured environment to say, this is a safe place. You're here for a journey to learn about yourself. What can we learn as a collective together? And how can we provide this knowledge that we have acquired from this trip out 5, 10, 50, 1,000 years, wherever that is. And I know the longer time horizon that you extend, obviously the more variables come into play. But I think it's very akin to just general Bitcoiners. Not many people, only Bitcoiners are really the ones that are kind of planning on, besides Elon, but we know his what 20 million sats or however much he has, doesn't have much apparently. But not many people are looking to populate the solar system, right? Not many people are looking to build spaceships, and and what does the world look like in the year 3500 or something like that? Are we even in the traditional Gregorian calendar, in that time frame? What does humanity look like? No, everybody's looking to make sure that they can pay their next rent payment and pray to God that they get that stimulus check from the government. They have no clue. I mean, just between you and I, we know I can already see your wheels turning of how many different tangents you can go down just from that one little comment. But it's very challenging to describe it to somebody. You just have to throw them into the fire and do it. I want you to own your own. I want you to hold your own keys. I want you to run your own node. Preferably, I'd like you to coin join all of your everything. It's very difficult for, to talk to somebody about that. Just be the guiding hand and show them. Same thing for a psychonaut. I'm not asking you, John, let's go and buy, 2 tons worth of LSD and dump it in the, Hudson River or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Or put in the water pipes or something. No, you need to do it in a very structured way so people understand of what they're actually going through during these moments in time. And it's not for everybody, right? Some people just can't deal with mainnet Bitcoin. They just can't comprehend it. There needs to be GUIs based around this stuff, and add a second and third layer, and then they'll finally use Bitcoin, right? No different than maybe, God forbid, or not God forbid, but let's hope that these types of psychedelics do become in the mainstream in a pharmaceutical sense, in a very structured, proper environment and setting for that, of which is only prescribed to people who obviously can either handle that, the body receives it, appropriately. And there's obviously problems to both sides there. Are you actually using Bitcoin, or, are you actually really taking a psychonaut trip? But it seems like for me, that's really one of the core blends, is what an eye-opening experience, of which you realize as you start to look around and go, holy shit, everybody's time preference is so long, just massive, just light years long. No different than, you go for a trip and it feels like it was, 12 or 15 hours, but it was only an hour and a half or something like that. I mean,
that's an interesting comparison, actually.
How do you even describe that to somebody, right? I mean, it's a challenge.
But man, one of the things that amazes me, and I don't know how long we've been talking now, but I'm speaking to you. I feel like I'm speaking to another just clear-minded, smart, well-meaning individual. Just clear. Talking about my morning stack and your meditation, right? Like, clarity is the game for me. I want to see things, because clarity and truth are pretty much interchangeable.
Yes.
Right? I want to see things as bare truth as I can, and so I try to put myself in a state to be able to either see that clearly or pursue the methods that will allow me to see that clearly, i.e., learning or whatever. And it's just amazing to me that you're telling me your story where, however many years it was, 5+ years ago, where, no offense, but like, you were kind of a piece of shit, right? Like, you were, drinking all the time, badass, not doing anything, we're unhappy, all the rest of it. And now I'm speaking to someone who seems like, and I don't know many details about your life. And look, obviously we all have aspirations for our life. We have ambitions. We want to be in different, we want to keep improving. But I'm speaking to someone who's seems like a clear, level-headed, intelligent, emotionally stable, all these things, individual. And it's so amazing to me, because that's happened to me a bunch in the course of the conversations I have with people, on the podcast, and also probably more frequently in real life as I've, traveled throughout the years, it's such a dramatic shift in consciousness, where you go from being lost and down and in a dark place to just far more solid. Like you're not perfect, and you know that, and you've got all these things you want to do, but you're grounded in a clarity that allows you to orient your life like in a better direction than ever previously, sort of thing.
Got it.
You know what I'm trying to
Yes.
say?
Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. I think it shows the personal growth of that person, right?
Of course, yeah.
You can watch it in their mannerisms. You can hear it in their voice. And I thank you very much for you saying those comments and seeing it. But I'm just hearing in my head going, you have no fucking idea how crazy I am, right? For all the bull, and everybody's crazy in their own ways, right? I'm sure you
Right.
saw some crazy shit in China when you were there, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure many people have experienced some very unfortunate things, and on the complete opposite spectrum, we're invited to billionaires parties or something like that. You don't know what they've seen or what they've experienced like that. But again, it's probably another Ram Dass quote, but I try to find the image of God in every person that I talk to, and that's very difficult to do consciously while you're thinking of that. And one time, shout out to my friend Demetrius. We were talking, we were just hanging out, and him and his soon-to-be wife were just sitting there talking, and like I could just see their faces kind of start to change, and I really, really got freaked out because I go, what the hell's going on? Am I, somebody slipped me something? Am I high? Am I, whatever it is. But what I realized after that was, we were just in such a positive, happy, present state that, and I know it's wrong because it's based on your own, perception. So don't believe anything that I'm saying here. But it seemed as if, like I started to see God's face because of the positivity and the present moment of that time. So I really, really try to search for the, the positive, truth-seeking, individual, especially like yourself and everybody that you talk to. That just the free-flowing conversations that you manifest is very powerful, and it's very natural. And I think it's even more powerful that it is such a natural coming of that. So again, thank you so much for saying that. But I'll tell you what, man, I'm crazy as hell. And I know
dude, we're all fucking crazy, right? And if we're all crazy, what does crazy even mean?
Exactly. You have no clue. We'll find that out in a different parallel universe, right?
Yeah, but man, and I guess in a conversation like this, it's inescapable to like go down these, super, core trippy, whatever, kind of trains of thought. But I feel like I know what you mean. Like I've never had the sense of having, actually my perception of someone's face change. But like, of course,
that fucked me up, dude.
But of course, like in the course of pursuing, these psychedelic experiences and pursuing them as deeply as I can, it's unavoidable. Like we were saying before, I don't know if it was on this stream or the previous one, but when you're stripped down to nothing and you wonder what's left, and as we were saying, well, what's left is some form of connection with all other people and things. I don't know how else to describe that. Well, then you come to the inescapable conclusion that you're looking at the same entity, right?
Yes.
You're looking at the same force. Yes, it has a different, meat suit on, and it has different experiences, and they've been conditioned in different ways as a result of being a physical person in a different environment in the world, because environment shaped us to some degree. But beyond the veil, beyond the facade, you're looking at the exact same person. The essence, I guess you would say, and I'm not super hot on that word, but again, we struggle for the right language with this kind of stuff, is the same. And how, so, and then that experience also kind of gives you the impression that you are, if not the God, you are you have that some kind of, greater power within you or greater essence within you. And so like those two things together kind of makes you look at people and have that perception. I mean, I get where you're coming from. So like I said, although I never had like a face changing experience in my, most present moments, and when I can shelve like my, incessant voice in my head and my, the kind of separation that, a strong ego forces. And you can see that there's no difference between one person or the next. There's different behaviors, but no difference in nature. And, I think I think I understand what you're saying there.
I understand fully what you're saying. Once you realize that you are part of the universe, you are it. You look at everybody else at, trying to find, that piece of, peace, happiness, and positivity within that. And I promise you, you can find it because we're all connected, whether you fucking like it or not. That's how this shit works, whether you like it or not. The only way we're getting out of this place is you're going to have to die. That's the only way you're getting out. I'm sorry, people. There's only one way you're getting out of this world. You're going to have to die. Or you can hop on Elon's, ship 2022, 2024. But eventually, you're going to have to leave this physical meat that you occupy,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could get so cosmic with you that, we'll save that for a different day.
All right. I was going to say, I was going to say hit me, but yeah, I'm sure we could fill up another one. Man, this has been awesome. Is there anything we didn't touch on, or any last words before we shut this down?
I can't think too much else of what I want to say. Kind of hit on a good amount of points.
What do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to make a comment for the listeners for supporting your local Bitcoin Core dev and developer. Whatever, I know it's very difficult. I know there's no real set way to do it, but find out any Bitcoin Core developers, on Twitter and see if they need help. I mean, sometimes it's just simply, to review a PR, and I know that that's way over their heads for most people. Do what you can to go and support the people that are securing the actual code base of the network. These people are securing your funds to find out a bug if you do find another inflationary bug or anything like that. Shout out to Hidani Stefanov. You've helped me so much, man, and continue to keep helping me. Thank you so much. He's a Bitcoin Core developer. I think he just got picked up for a full grant. I can't remember who picked him up. It was like 20 I think it was like 30 or 50 grand or something like that he received from somebody to work on Bitcoin full time. So,
but there was one very recently.
There's a guy. I know Square Crypto's been doing doing a bunch of grants. Shout out to BTC Pay Server guys, all that. But man, you have no clue how important these core devs are. And you could count them on 5 people's hands, right? There's less than 50 or 100 actually active, core devs looking at the, code base every single day for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And we hope that number only grows, but I can't code as much as I want. I can do some basic stuff. I can barely read, some of the code based stuff that they're working on. But man, it's just phenomenal for what they do. And we as Bitcoiners have no clue. You have no clue that somebody, just deleted, a certain code base, which, helped improve, your weight size that you're carrying around for your node by a couple bytes or something like that. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Because I know that's a thankless job and nobody cares. So thank you.
Yeah, very well put. The last thing I was going to ask you, and it was just, what's taken up most of your mind space, these days around Bitcoin? What's exciting you? What's the rabbit hole that you're currently going down?
So my main project and current, mind occupier is Eden, and as I said, that's my 3D printing company and project, kind of incorporating Bitcoin with that. So that's really soaking up a ton of my time. And just to summarize on that, it's something that I wanted to build for myself. Again, you just build these things for yourself, and if other people like it, great. It's fully open source. I need a better way to communicate my open sourceness on GitHub. So I have a weak GitHub page. Please help me improve that. Please, I definitely need more help on some of the code base side. But really, it's essentially it's a multi-dimensional computer to which you manifest your thoughts directly into things. And if you choose to own that thing and share it out in the world, and if you want to get paid for it, you can prove and verify that you got paid by running a full Bitcoin and Lightning node inside. So really, I basically wanted a computer that I could physically reach into and grab out that good or service that I just created or somebody made, and thus obviously go and use that out into the real world. So how exactly to secure the designs and actually create more of a direct user, kind of manifestation for local designs to be made is still really working out the kinks, whether I'm going to use, more so go down the liquid path, or I think Gigi, I need to tweet this out. I think Gigi and somebody else is actually working on, I think the protocol is called RGB, if I'm not mistaken. It's like a layer 3 on top of Lightning. So it's more like decentralized assets within Lightning, so in a non-custodial manner. But it goes back to printing money days and stuff. I got in trouble printing the money, so why don't I just make the machines and let other people go and make those designs and stuff like that. Like I said, other places, I know you just did the conversation with Control Pew, and all of the development and advancement is going on in the firearm and 3D printing guns, if you will. I have yet to get there, but wow, that is just wild that you can manifest that thought and produce it into a thing in front of you. Of that complex. 3D printing and Bitcoin are so synonymous. It's insane. They're the IRC channels and groups that everybody's a part of. Bitcoin obviously is pretty hot within that community. 3D printing and rep and all that stuff. Shout out to Crypto Cloaks as well. Rick is doing a phenomenal job. It obviously Bitcoin is all open source. Okay, most obviously for the people that do closed source, we call them shitcoiners. But same thing for 3D printing. All of this stuff is open source, or 99% of it. Go ahead and make your own iterations to it. Share out your designs. Go and try something new and try something different. Keep improving on it. The market is so small. I was just running some numbers for our books, and the estimated market of the whole 3D, this seems too small for me, but it's only like $12 billion for the whole 3D printing market and stuff. Let's just add a 4x to that. Let's say it's 50 billion or something like that. Doesn't that seem a little too small? I mean,
it does, but I kind of get it because it's still not very prevalent. Like, how many people do you know that have, well, you may know more, but I don't know anybody that has a 3D printer,
And that's the thing. That's the whole goal. You want, I'm talking to you on my iPad. We got computers over here. I got 3 computers right in front of me. I think eventually everything is going to, turn into some type of a device that manifests something into, a thing within your physical realm, whether you use somebody else's, your neighbor's printer, or, this little thing only does some kind of small gadget or, small, object or anything, but it is just.
It's a very 3D printers are a very psychedelic concept, because psychedelic means manifesting the mind, right?
Yes, it does.
That's what 3D printers do.
They
in a not so indirect way. So
Yes, you can add, that's the whole rep rap community. You're not a rep rap unless you 3D printed certain parts for your 3D printer. That's very meta. Okay. I mean, you just alluded to that. It is so wild. This is the decade for additive manufacturing. I promise you that this is going to be a wild 10 years for printers. And I promise you, I will print more money than the Federal Reserve. You mark my words on this podcast right now, whatever time this is. You mark my words. I will outprint the central banks of the world. I promise you.
What will you be?
Or I'm dead. Anything that what the users want. Anything what the users print. I won't be printing, but the users will be printing.
Right.
Don't worry about that.
All right.
This is a wild decade and a wild sector to be a part of.
I'll hold you to that. We'll have to check in every 10 years and see printing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll get a print count for whatever.
Yeah. Well, man, first of all, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you being so open with your story and openly sharing it with me and everyone that's listening. So kudos and thank you for that. And sorry about the fuck up with the stream at the beginning, but
no, don't worry.
The growing pains of doing new shit on the fly. So
that's how I like it, though. You got to build that plane while it's in the air. Fix that wing.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Dude, I'm sure we'll be in touch often from now forward. But until the next time, be well, brother. Take care.
Definitely. You too, man.